নমস্কাৰ জিউজিনিয়াছ বাই E-Pathshala ইউটিউব চেনেলটোলৈকে মই আপোনালোকক স্বাগতম জনাইছোঁ। আজি এই যি ভিডিঅ' আছে এই ভিডিঅ'টোত মই দিব বিচাৰিছোঁ ফ'ৰ-ইয়াৰ আণ্ডাৰ গ্ৰেজুৱেট প্ৰগ্ৰেমৰ ছেকেণ্ড ছেমিষ্টাৰৰ যিসকল ছাত্ৰ ছাত্ৰীয়ে পৰীক্ষা দিব তেওঁলোকৰ ফিল'চফি বা দৰ্শন যিটো বিষয় আছে এই বিষয়টোৰ ওপৰত কেইটামান খুব গুৰুত্বপূৰ্ণ প্ৰশ্ন। এই যি প্ৰশ্ন আছে এই প্ৰশ্নসমূহ খুব ইম্পৰ্টেণ্ট পৰীক্ষাৰ পাৰ্চপেক্টিভৰ পৰা লগতে যি প্ৰশ্নৰ ষ্ট্ৰাকচাৰ আছে এই ষ্ট্ৰাকচাৰটো পৰীক্ষাত কিছু পৰিৱৰ্তন হৈও আহিব পাৰে। কিন্তু ভিডিঅ'টোৰ আগলৈকে যোৱাৰ আগত যদিহে আপোনালোকে এতিয়ালৈকে ইউটিউব চেনেলটো ছাবস্ক্ৰাইব কৰা নাই তেতিয়াহ'লে অনুগ্ৰহ কৰি আপোনালোকে ইউটিউব চেনেলটো ছাবস্ক্ৰাইব কৰি ল'ব। গতিকে এতিয়া হওক আজিৰ আমি মূল ভিডিঅ'টো আৰম্ভ কৰোঁ।
What defines the pre-Socratic period of philosophy? How did pre-Socratic thought influence later philosophers such as Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle? What are the main differences between the Milesians, Eleatics, and physicists in terms of their philosophical inquiries? Discuss the contributions of Thales to early Greek philosophy and science, particularly his idea of water as the fundamental substance and his work in geometry. What are the main differences between the Milesians, Eleatics, and physicists in terms of their philosophical inquiries? Discuss the contributions of Thales to early Greek philosophy and science, particularly his idea of water as the fundamental substance and his work in geometry. Explain Anaximander's concept of the apeiron, the boundless or infinite, and how it differs from Thales' idea of water as the fundamental substance. Discuss the implications of Anaximander's theory for the development of cosmology and biology. Analyze Parmenides' argument that reality is unchanging and that all change is an illusion. How does his doctrine of being challenge the views of earlier philosophers? And what are the key philosophical implications of his ideas? Describe one of Zeno's paradoxes, such as the Achilles and the tortoise, and explain its significance in supporting Parmenides' view of reality. How do Zeno's paradoxes contribute to the philosophical discourse on motion and plurality? Discuss Heraclitus' doctrine that everything is in a constant state of flux, panta rei, and his concept of the logos. How do these ideas contrast with those of the Eleatics? And what impact did Heraclitus' philosophy have on subsequent thinkers? Discuss the main philosophical ideas of Protagoras. How did his concept of relativism influence the sophistic movement? Examine the contributions of Gorgias to rhetoric and philosophy. How did his views differ from those of other sophists? Describe the Socratic method. How did Socrates use this method to challenge the views of his contemporaries? Analyze Socrates' concept of virtue. How did his understanding of virtue differ from that of the sophists? Compare and contrast the philosophical approaches of Socrates and the sophists. What were the main points of contention between them? Question. Explain Plato's distinction between knowledge, episteme, and opinion, doxa. How does he use the allegory of the cave to illustrate this distinction? Question. Describe Plato's theory of forms. How do the forms relate to the physical world, and what role do they play in Plato's understanding of knowledge? Question. Discuss Plato's conception of justice as presented in The Republic. How does he define justice in both the individual and the state? Question. How does Plato argue for the superiority of knowledge over opinion in his dialogues? Provide examples from his works to support your explanation. Question. Critically assess the implications of Plato's theory of forms for understanding reality. What are some of the strengths and criticisms of this theory? Explain Aristotle's distinction between form and matter. How does this distinction help in understanding the nature of objects? Describe Aristotle's four causes and provide examples to demonstrate each type of cause. Discuss Aristotle's concepts of actuality and potentiality. How do these concepts explain change and development in natural beings? How does Aristotle's theory of hylomorphism relate to his understanding of the soul and body? Provide an analysis of his views. Evaluate Aristotle's critique of Plato's theory of forms, focusing on Aristotle's own doctrine of substance.